with highlighters. Everything I'm using in today's painting is listed in your Paint 333 supply list. You can get a paint333.com with the exception of the highlighters. So make sure you get yourself some of those. All those wonderful supplies are also listed in the video's description. We are painting on a full-size sheet of 22 by 30 Arches rough 300-pound paper. The reference photo and tracing are listed in the video's description. Let's paint. I'm going to start by just kind of flooding a scrap piece of paper with the highlighter. And then get it wet with some water. A nice pool of water on there. And try to like lift up that pigment that you laid down. And it's going to have to be really wet because you're going to want to kind of get it in the bristles of your brush. And then let's just see. Oh my gosh, this looks really cool. This looks so cool. So I'm just putting some cool little bit of splatter around on my turtle. And we can do more of this later too. But I just wanted to kind of see if that works. And it does. I think we're going to have a ton of fun with this. We're going to actually start by going ahead and using our highlighter everywhere we see that beautiful yellow. While we're doing this too, you can actually kind of manipulate it. I'm not sure how much you're able to manipulate it once it's dry, but from my little practice sessions, I've been able to manipulate it pretty nicely while it's wet. So I'm kind of working left to right, and it's going to take me a while. I'm painting on a really big sheet of paper, but I'm going to go ahead and speed things up so this part doesn't take me forever. And I am making sure to go all the way up to the lines. I'm not really leaving any margin. And I'm gonna go ahead and just go all the way across, do all the yellow and even the orange that we see towards the bottom of the turtle with this highlighter. Okay, I've never done that. I've never put highlighter on a $20 piece of paper before. Let's do where this yellow turns into orange. So I want you to have another brush handy here. There we go. I want you to have your brush handy. And what I'm going to do is kind of keep coloring down. And I'm maybe not working with like the whole turtle at once. I'm going to just start with these two stripes here and see how this goes. I'm going to get it wet, kind of do what we did with the splatter while this highlighter is still wet, and just create a nice big pool of water. And I'm going to connect it to the bottom of the page and let it kind of drift up. And I'm letting it be messy too. I like how it kind of connects into the square shape. I'm actually going to maybe do that. Since we're wetting it down, we should have a little bit more time to work with it. Although I am noticing that the highlighter doesn't highlight as well on wet paper. So highlighting first and then adding water seems to be the ticket. And then he's got these cute little dots kind of connecting these shapes down here. I hope you can see that. There we go. That looks a little better. Okay, so let's work with this little tidbit. Oh, we didn't even do this yet. Let's see. Let's connect these, and they're a little bit more abstract. Let's put those in there too. And in general, I did put more of the highlighter stripes on the highlight side. So that's going to be the right side of the turtle. Okay, I want to come in. I'm going to grab a bigger brush. I'm going to grab my 3/4 inch flat just to lay down a bunch of water at once on these shapes. So I'm kind of getting the bottom of the highlighter wet, moving into the yellow with the water. And I'm getting everywhere that I want to be able to kind of turn this highlighter into orange wet. And you know, I just want to go for it. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the stripes. So we have a little bit here. And then we have this. But I don't know, I don't want to connect his whole neck to the paper. I want to leave a little bit of abstract things happening. So let's maybe paint the shell. I think that'll help anchor the highlight side. We'll see. We'll see if I like that. I'm not sure yet. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get these bottom stripes wet. This is already just fun. It's fun to see how this highlighter pigment behaves when it's wet. Okay, I'm going to grab Opera Pink, really heavy mix. I'm going to try to really dig in there, pick up a lot of pigment and put it on my wet brush. So wet brush, heavy mix of Opera Pink. And the cool thing with this painting too is I'm hoping we only need just a few colors. So Opera Pink, Azo Yellow to get our beautiful orange. We're going to come in with our neutral tint for the black, and that should hopefully mix with some of the yellow highlighter and get a greenish tint to it. If not, we're also going to be using cobalt teal to get the cobalt teal highlights and it to mix with the yellow a little bit to create some green. 4 colors plus the highlighter. I'm going to start on the dark side and let that mix with the highlighter. See what happens here. And then I'm just going to move. I love these little dots that are happening on the turtle. So I want to keep those in there too. It's definitely making orange. This is cool. It's like a pinky orange. It's really pretty. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I was planning to use Azo Yellow. I might not need at least as much as I was thinking I would. We'll see what happens. I'm going to grab another flat brush. This is my 1-inch wash brush. And I'm just going to put in a little bit of water. I like watery, but that's no surprise. I love these little dots. Have I said that yet? I love this pretty pink. I love how it's morphed from pink to orange. That's kind of cool. I think that really just depends on how wet we made the highlighter area. Okay, I kind of want to come in right away. I'm going to grab my neutral tint. So I am coming in with my dirty pink brush. I'm going to try to grab a heavy mix of neutral tint and let that kind of mix with the pink at the bottom. And I'm connecting it to the bottom of the page on the dark side. And I kind of want to do this while this is wet. And I'm going to let it drift into the top of the turtle as we go. But I'm hoping it also mixes with the pink because this is the dark side. So I'm just coming back and I'm putting this black. I am putting it right on the dry paper. And I want it to mix a little bit because this is in the shadows. Oh, I'm having fun now. It's so fun to work fast. You can't overthink it too much, and usually you get a lot of fun surprises. So I'm letting this neutral tint get more watery as we move towards the light side of the painting. And I also don't want to overpaint with the neutral tint. So I'm just kind of dragging some of this color up into the neck. So starting to just kind of paint the black area now as we move up. And the cool thing about neutral tint is it kind of stays where you put it, which is handy for this type of pattern making, I guess you could say. We kind of need to make these stripes in this turtle, so this is kind of nice. That's pretty cool. This is cool how this is looking, turning out. It's fun to feel like we've made so much progress in such a short amount of time, too. So I am letting this neutral tint mingle a little bit with the highlighter, just so it doesn't look too tight and controlled and kind of goofy. I'm going to grab another brush. I want to add more opera pink, but I don't want to dirty the brushes I have. I want to kind of keep a water brush and a neutral tint brush, so I'm adding a third brush here just for a nice heavy mix of opera pink, so I can lay that down if I feel like there's areas that need a little bit more of that. And it turns this really pretty purple when you mix opera pink with neutral tint, which looks really good to give us that illusion of the shadow that's happening near the bottom of the turtle. Really heavy mix though. It won't lay down. Heavy mix and a watery brush. So you need a wet brush, heavy mix. Otherwise it's just going to pick up all this wet pigment. And I'm kind of having fun and also using some artistic license here and putting some where it really doesn't exist on the turtle yet. On the shadow side. So it's kind of acting like my shadow color a little bit. So I'm just going to keep moving up the turtle with this black color. And I am starting with the dark side. Typically that's how I do it when I paint pets, so I don't overpaint the light side. We don't need to go, we got to make sure we make it dynamic. And we can do that by underpainting, not painting the light side very much. Nice heavy mix of neutral tint. It's just it's such a contrast, this black next to the highlighter, and it's so cool. I think as we move up, I might want to incorporate cobalt teal as we move towards the top of the turtle, just to differentiate it from the bottom and make it look a little bit more maybe wet, shiny, and reflective. We'll see. I'm connecting this water with the bottom here, trying to. But like I said too, I don't want to overpaint it. This might be all I end up doing. I don't know. We'll find out. I also love how neutral tint can travel. It's like traveling right here. Let's move up a little bit. It's traveling, ooh, with the pools of water that we are painting. That looks really cool too. So I'm going to put in a little bit more neutral tint and say, yeah, I like that. Let's keep that happening. And we might have to encourage it to keep moving. There we go. All right, I am going to get, let's see, we have our opera pink brush. I wanted to get our fourth color, our cobalt teal. And I'm feeling the pressure a little bit because I'm trying to do all this all at once and move from our dark side to our light side and switching our colors at the same time. It can feel like a lot, especially when you're working with so much surface area. Okay. I really want to focus over here and see if I can get some of that cobalt teal happening. So I'm really laying down a pool of water, but in a very precise shape of stripes between the highlighted areas. So you really can't have too much water here. I feel like you can have too little, and then it's gonna dry and you're gonna not be able to work with it as much. So I'm really using that thinner edge of my wash brush because this is a very big brush, but you can get thin lines if you work with the edge of it. Look at how it just travels like that. So cool. Okay, I'm kind of going around the nose. You see how these pools of water are just having the paint travel. It's really cool. All right, we talked about our cobalt teal brush. Let's go ahead and do that. Heavy mix, nice wet brush. And I'm going to focus on the light side with this color. So our opera pink is kind of on the dark side. And our cobalt teal is on the light side here. And I'm doing it right next to the black. And we'll just fade it out as we get towards the edge of the light side. It's really fun to paint reptiles because of these colors. That's why I love painting like spiders, insects, these little funky critters where these colors are just part of them. It looks so cool. And I kind of want to leave this alone. I don't want to put paint over there. I think we can see how cool that this cobalt looks. Looks really cool. I'm just discovering as a thin layer over your highlighter. So I'm going to feather that in and we're getting a really cool green. That looks so cool. That looks, I'm in love with that. I'm going to put a really heavy mix of that cobalt on here and just say, hey, you can keep going because that's really neat. that way that it makes that green is just so cool. It's wow. This is fun. This is fun. I hope you can kind of see what I'm seeing here. I know I have it zoomed out quite a bit because it's so big. I'll provide some close-up shots too, so you can kind of see what's happening with this cobalt. I really want to just focus that cobalt though towards the top. I don't want to overdo it. So I'm just kind of almost painting where I already have painted cobalt so that we get a really saturated mix of that as it dries, so it doesn't dry too light. All right, I'm going to do more opera pink towards the shadow side. I think it's just going to make this black a little bit more dynamic, pretty. I kind of cleaned my brush off. I'm going to see if I can put a more clean opera pink up on the top of the head up here. And then fade that in with some water. And I'm adding a lot of water, and I'm kind of trying to push that and create a little bit of a pigmented edge. So I cleaned off my opera pink brush, and I'm just kind of fading in some of these stripes a little bit more. Some of the edges just look a little stiff, and then it looks too tight and not watercolory. I don't like that. So I'm just kind of manipulating some of those edges if I think it'll look good. Especially on the dark side where we kind of want some shadow happening anyway. So I'm almost blending some of these colors together into the stripes. I love the green that happened with this cobalt. So I'm letting that cobalt kind of drift into the highlighted areas a little bit more to get more of that green. It's so pretty. So again, I haven't added any paint to this brush. It's just water. And I'm just trying to let things drift together a little bit. Nothing crazy. This could be really pretty, this pool right here, once it dries. We get some blooming here, some pigmented edges, and that could look really cool. It's pretty already, and we have like no precise detail yet. Now, I can't speak to how well this painting will keep in terms of fading. I know a lot of times people are really nervous to use what is called a fugitive color, like opera pink. I think it's because they're made with dyes instead of pigments. And I guess dyes can fade. So I'm assuming that that would be the case when using a highlighter like we are today, that it's a dye, it's a marker made with a dye, not a pigment, which is number one, why it's so effective. We're getting this gorgeous color, but it might not be this bright, bright neon forever. It definitely won't be forever. I'm just not sure how long it will even be this bright. So that's the risk. So if anybody has any cool solutions they found to getting a neon color that doesn't fade, please share in the comments. We will be all ears. I would love to know. But in the meantime, I'm not going to let the possibility, really the eventuality of this fading to keep me from using it. Because I know if I try to just use Azo Yellow right now and get this same kind of look, it would not happen. Okay, I am adding some more neutral tint just to define some of these features, especially on the shadow side. So I'm kind of almost like glazing a layer of neutral tint. Nice heavy mix, not such a wet brush though. A lot of pigment, not a ton of water because this is starting to dry, so we don't need to worry about it not laying down as much. I hope that makes sense. Sometimes it's hard for me to explain while I'm trying to think about where to put the paint as I'm painting this. But this can be a really fun time to paint when it's almost dry. That's when all the cool things happen in watercolor, when it's almost dry. It's the best stage to what I call babysit it and look around and say, hey, what would happen if I added color right here? What would happen if I scraped? What would happen if I splattered water right now? And cool things will happen. Cool things. I love our little splatter of, I was going to use Brusho, but now I don't think we need it. You could use Brusho and see what happens down here. Could look really cool. Okay, I want to just allude to his shell on this side. So I got a wet brush, my 1-inch brush, and I'm just going to drag the pigment in the direction of where the shell would be. So it kind of would come across here. And I just want that to just be like, oh yeah, that's probably where the shell is. And I think I'll glaze a little bit of highlighter over that once it's dry. That looks cool. I'm gonna add a little neutral tint and let that maybe grab a little bit of opera pink. Put a little, ooh, that's pretty. A little stripe up there. I almost want to put a little bit more on this part of the shell too. Especially because it's almost dry. So it's really going to be cool. I'm going to keep going with my little neutral tint glazing on the dark side. Really happy with some of these cool edges that we achieved while it was wet. And some of the edges I'm not as happy about. So I'm just kind of letting it blend a little bit more. But these are pretty sharp edges. The reference photo itself is clearly blurry. And if it didn't have that kind of blurry shift in the photo, I think we would be seeing some pretty sharp differentiations between the yellow and the black. So I don't want to necessarily blur all my edges. And I'm really telling myself that more than you guys. I'm like, okay, don't go crazy right now. Not everything has to be watery or blurry or soft. It's the combination of the edges that can look really cool too. This is so fun. So I'm just kind of looking at it and trying to decide if I want to add anything else. I have my cobalt brush here. So I'm just kind of trying to get some of these details in place. So now I'm kind of moving into still babysitting the body that we created, but now adding maybe some more of the details. I'm really loving the pigmented edges we're getting up there. That looks really cool. So this again is my neutral tint brush. I'm just glazing some of this area to make it darker if it faded a little too much. I'm so excited to show you some of these close-ups of the way that the highlighter is blending into the paint. Yeah, it's just so cool. I really love just studying the details that happen once your painting is dry. Because it's like, I didn't do that. That was watercolor being watercolor, which is why I love watercolor so much. Watercolor. So I'm trying to emphasize some of these stripes without covering up some of the cool things that happened as this dried. But this layering also helps it look not so muddy. I'm going to put a little bit more on the light side and blend that in. This is so pretty. I just want to look at it. I don't want to keep going. Because now we've basically done the fun part. We have to do the fussy part around the eyes. But it's also going to take this from this is cool to whoa, that's a really cool way to paint a turtle. All right, let's take some time just to refine the eyes, and then we'll basically be done, which is so exciting. So I'm going to come in with our black, and we're going to make the eyes look good. And I'm actually going to start with the light side eye because I think there's not a lot of information on the dark side eye, and I just kind of want to get my footing. And there's a lot more information on this eye, so I am going to start with this eye. And they're far enough away that while I'm working on this eye, I won't have to worry about smudging that one. So I do have a nice heavy mix of neutral tint. I want to also grab my ultramarine. So I'm going to grab a nice heavy mix of that too. All right, so I'm going to grab this ultramarine. And then I'm going to put just water on my size 2 brush. So other than that, I am using my size 6 round brushes. And I'm kind of just going to manipulate the pigment that's on here. And let it settle into where I'm painting with the size 2 brush. And I am going to come back in with my neutral tint and make some of these sections a little bit darker. I'm going to grab another brush that's just water and just soften that line I laid down. I'm just trying to kind of establish some of these shapes of the eye here. So I'm just kind of adding in kind of an abstract way, a little bit of information with some shapes of this ultramarine blue, and then manipulating those shapes with just a wet brush if I need to. And I wasn't really planning on using ultramarine. We didn't talk about that color. We talked about azo yellow, and we never ended up using it, at least not yet. So technically, we're still just using 4 colors. We've just replaced the azo yellow with this blue. But I'm kind of seeing a need for azo yellow as we speak. Azo we speak. I said it. That's a dad joke. Thanks, Dad. You taught me well. Okay, I am putting a little azo yellow here. And I know I need another brush with just water. I'm just going to soften that into this little bottom shape here. This azo yellow is kind of nice because it is quite a bit more muted than the highlighter. I walked away and came back to finish this later today, and it hit me in the face with that neon when I walked into my studio, and I love it, but I'm not used to it. I'm like, wow, that's what it's like. That's what it's like to paint with a neon pigment. Really cool. Tons of fun. Look at how the eye is kind of blending into that wet shape. I think that looks really cool. So I'm going to grab some cobalt too to see if maybe putting a little bit of that on there would be kind of fun. So I'm kind of using the side of my brush. I have a really heavy mix of this cobalt, and I'm kind of using the side of my brush to capture the texture of the paper on it. think that looks kind of neat. And I'm even going to, I think, grab a little bit of pink on the brush that has my cobalt. See if I can create a little bit of a purple here. In just a couple strategic areas. I'm trying to also to get the values on point and create some depth on this eye socket area. So now I'm kind of softening the actual eye. Like I said, this reference photo does not give us a ton of information, so we're kind of just playing around and seeing what looks good at this point. So I'm kind of lifting towards the outside of that eye. I like that. I just do think it needs more black. It needs to be a little bit darker. Looks like it to look like an eye. I'm going to do the nose too. I think these are kind of like hexagon shaped. I'm going to go with somewhat hexagonal. I think it's okay if they're a little wonky. Lean it into the wonky a little bit. We're going wonky. I'm going to grab my 3/4 inch flat again and load that up with a decent mix, medium mix, not too heavy, not too watery, of neutral tint. See if I can glaze a little depth. I think I lifted around these nose shapes off camera too. So if you didn't see me do that, I apologize. He's so cute. All right, I'm going to switch to ultramarine on that same brush. Mostly for the light side black area. I'm just trying to kind of make these shapes to give him some features on his face. And so I'm also, and some value too. Just want to give him some depth and I just want to give him a little face. That looks cool. That looks cool already. So I'm adding some ultramarine. I'm taking this azo yellow, dirty azo yellow brush. I'm just filling in that shape. Maybe put some more over here, make it match a little bit. I'm feeling a little nervous because I'm not seeing the depth I'd like to see, but I also know that there's more work to do. I just want this turtle to be really, well, full of depth to be repetitive. So I'm gonna have to, I don't know, I'll just have to keep working on him until he gets to where I like him to be. I think it'll be a matter of just glazing some more layers of color too. All right, so this kind of helped me. I'm gonna basically just do the same thing over on this side with my ultramarine blue and my neutral tint and just create some information for us to know what's going on with the eye. Look at that. Just a little bit of information. And we are in business. So much better, doesn't it? I love it. I'm kind of spitballing a little bit because we don't have a lot of information. This reference photo. But this is kind of fun too. Just trying things out. Just want to make sure that that eye has the right value though too. I want it nice and dark in certain spots. I love visible brush strokes when they can also kind of help you get a sense of their features. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to figure out where these would help us get the information we need to know where his features are. So it's just ultramarine, a nice heavy mix on a blotted brush level of paint. I want to make sure we have this kind of like frown that this kind of grumpy old turtle grumpiness. This turtle's seen a lot of days. He's seen things. He doesn't have time for nonsense. All right, I'm gonna get a watery mix now. I'm just adding some water here. Kind of like glazing with it now. See if we can get some darkness where we might need it. He's such a character. This is different. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm uncertain, but I also love it. But I'm also a little nervous. Okay, wish me luck. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I think I'm at this point where I love it, but it also is lacking a little depth. And a lot of that could be the reference photo isn't giving me as much as I want it to. And I just need to add some detail and I need to kind of sit down and do that nitty gritty work. I made up a purple in my palette, a very blue purple, and I have it on my 1-inch wash brush. I'm going to just see if I can attempt some glazing. So I'm trying to get a watery mix of that. And I'm just going to see, just going to play around with glazing that on the dark side. So I just work right on the dry paper on the dark side and basically giving myself that shadow color to create the depth. And I'm kind of glazing on the shell too. I did do a nice little dry brush stroke of neutral tint right there. I think I did that off camera too. Sometimes I turn off the camera and then I look at it and then I like do something before I turn the camera on again. And that's okay. It's my painting. I'm not too worried about it, but I try to remember what I did and tell you that if I did something that I think you should know what I did. Sometimes I don't know why I do the things I do. And I'm like, why did I just do that? Sometimes I do things and I'm like, whoa, that looks so cool. I'm just trying to figure out my life a little bit here. So I'm kind of playing around with putting a little abstractness on the dark side with my shadow color. See what happens. I really like this purple. So now I'm trying to balance enhancing it with the purple, but also showing some restraint so I don't overdo it. That looks kind of cool. He looks a little angrier now. I don't hate it, that's for sure. I don't know, maybe part of it is I'm used to fur, but I can't use that as a crutch either. It's hard for you to see the color I think that I'm seeing when I laid down this purple and overlap it with the black. But it is making the black, it is giving the depth that I'm hoping for with this black. I'm really going heavy on the opera pink, trying to highlight, give some depth to the black areas. That looks really cool, and I don't not so sure if you can see it, but I'll try to do some close-ups too at some point in the video so you can kind of see what I'm doing. All right, I like that. I like that purple over there, and I think that's enough for now. I can always come back to it. Oh, I'm putting more purple as we speak. I can't stop. I love the splatter of highlighter. That is so fun. Might want to do more of that down the road. I'm going to grab some neutral tint on my toothbrush and maybe just put some splatter near the bottom. See how that looks. Kind of love it. I kind of love it. That looks kind of neat. Kind of echoes the stripes. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing all the time. That's for sure. Some of the time. This is looking better. I'm feeling a little bit more confident about it. It's just so different. I just feel like it needs that one last layer of depth, and I'm not sure how I'm going to achieve that. So it's a little scary because it's like, oh, what do I do? I'm not sure. But I am going to call it, I think, for this video. But just know that if this ends up looking a little different, if I superimpose the final image over the video, which I probably will do, and it looks quite a bit different, that's what I'm going to end up doing. If I do anything else, I will put some text on the video to let you know what I did. I'm going to try one more thing before I turn the video off. I'm going to get a watery mix of opera pink, just opera pink. And my well is dirty, so there's going to be some blue in there too. I'm going to see if glazing over the neon on the dark side only will give us some depth. I'm really searching for some depth here. And I'm wondering if I just need to differentiate the highlighter sections, dark side, light side. I don't hate it by any means. I kind of like what's happening here. So let's see if we can do this. What do we think? What do you think about this? This glazing. I am picking up a lot of other color. That's why you gotta glaze quick. I think this is helping a lot. I think this is kind of what I wanted. I just need a dark side and a light side. This reference photo doesn't necessarily have that information super obvious. And that's okay, because we're growing our skills when we are interpreting the photo ourselves. This is good. It's it's so colorful, you guys. This is like, if people like rainbow art, they want this painting. I like that a lot. I do like how that muted the neon on the dark side. Oh, that's good. That's very good. I'm happy we did that. And it makes the eye pop a little bit more because it's the only really neon thing on that side. Okay, happy with that. But we did it. We painted this with highlighters. This part, the splatter at the beginning. How fun was that? That's all I have for you today. As always, thank you so much for being here. Very happy painting. Make sure you get on my email list because that's where all the magic happens with content calendars and giveaways and specials on custom portraits or workshops. All my stuff is there and it's waiting for you at paint333.com. Thank you for painting with me. Happy painting.